All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. It's still the morning here. It's 11:30 a.m. Today is June 10th, 2024, a Monday. I just came home from work, and I have a lot of other classes to do today. If you don't know, I'm an English teacher online and also here in Budapest, Hungary. And in between work, I like to hop on live and talk to the people and respond to some comments in between releasing new content and doing live streams on various topics. But I got two comments from two longtime subscribers that I've had, and I really want to reply to these comments. People think because I'm not replying directly through text that I'm ignoring comments or I don't read comments. I think I'm too big now to respond to comments. This is the thing about YouTube comments. I might spend a good 5, 10, 15 minutes writing a response, and then YouTube won't even post it, even on my own channel. And that's not even because of curse words or anything like that. A lot of the times that has happened when I've tried to reply to some of the white supremacists who have hopped on my channel and left hateful, mean, derogatory comments about me or black people in general, or about various things, right? So I try to respond to those people, but then YouTube will even block my own comment in the comment section. So instead of writing my responses to my guys Donnie C. Williams and Hood Voice 2024, I'd rather respond directly by talking to y'all directly. And yeah, that's what I plan to do in this live stream video. And for anybody else who wants to ask me a question or chop it up with me, just jump into the comment section. You know, my YouTube channel is like a side hustle. It's something I do, you know, just for recreation. But I do enjoy sharing my voice, sharing my perspective on this platform, and giving free game and ways that we can move forward as black people, as a human species as well. So the first comment I got was from my guy, Donnie Williams. This will be the first comment I'm going to reply to. And what he replied to was my community post where I quoted Zero's first verse from It's a Shame. And while I wait for people to pile in here, I'm going to start rapping for y'all. So Zero said in the song, "Who else but me can see the state of emergency that we face? Because wearing a certain clothing can get a brother a case. Darkened pants, Air Force Ones, and a baseball cap. It's casual, but to authorities, it means I'm selling crack. It's a shame I can't ride on the rich side of town without being pulled over, thrown on the hood and patted down, searching my person for weapons and drug paraphernalia. It's rough on the curb, that's what I'm telling you. Sorry, it's rough on a thug, that's what I'm telling you. When I say thug, I don't mean I should be locked behind bars, because my acronym for thug is true hero under God. Yet still, I'm a criminal because I got gold teeth. Ain't no justice for blacks, just us with no sleep. And they wonder why I keep a Glock 40 on my hip, because Houston Police Department love to empty full clips. Accidental death, bullshit, they murdered all my essays. Chinga tu madre de polisa busta cuete. That's Spanish. If they get out of line, I get out of line. I'll be damned if I don't die for my freedom and don't mind dying. Sorry, I'll be damned if I don't fight for my freedom and don't mind dying. Already got one foot in the grave, ain't shit for me to jump in. Almost overdosed on codeine, heart barely pumping. I'm high all the time, straight addicted, paranoid. My dog might be a detective, so I don't want to kick it. Even though I don't rob banks or sell street rocks, I still be calling collect to say, Trey, come bail me out. This crooked ass America, I swear they got some game. Every city I travel to, the situation the same. I can't even say it's racial because I got some white friends. Then again, they get battered because I'm not a white friend. It's a shame. All right. So shout out to Doge for jumping into the comment section. He says, is it grippy? I don't know what that means, but I'm going to just say this. My guy Donnie Williams replied to that community post where I quoted those rap lyrics from Zero, which is a very beautiful song, very hard verse. And Donnie Williams said, what do you think should be done at Simon? Right? He left that. And I put the comments here so y'all can see it and find it on my channel as well. The thing is, Donnie, I know what this question actually means. What you're implying, I guess, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you're implying, Donnie, that on my channel, all I do is talk about racism and the negative things in this world and anti-blackness, but then I don't provide solutions. When I feel like I have been providing solutions in every single video I've dropped. I've never, I feel like, released a video and not said something about how a situation could be rectified. So when we're talking about the issue of white supremacy and anti-blackness in America or around the world, I believe two things need to happen. We need a cultural change on how we view anti-blackness and how serious the problem is. And we also need a legal change to make sure that protections are there for black people and for all oppressed people and poor people, right? Not that being black is necessarily tied to being poor, right? But a lot of black people in America do live below the poverty line, so that's what I would say. So when I say we need a cultural change, right? What I'm saying is, like, we need something similar to how in the women's movement, right? It's now generally understood by most people around the world that women have an unfair shake in their societies, right? As an English teacher, I've taught quite a few English classes talking about the gender pay gap and gender discrimination and unequal treatment for women. It's sort of like understood by most people around the world that women don't get treated fairly in society. And that's at a systemic level, right? The same thing has not been applied when it comes to black people, right? We need those sorts of messages out there. We need those same sorts of lessons out there where people generally have an understanding that the way black people are treated, not only in America, not only in Europe, not only in Latin America, but throughout the world is a systemic issue that needs to be addressed. It's crazy that it's almost in 2024, it's very hard to find people that will say that women don't have that women have everything equal as men. That in this world today, it's hard to find somebody who would say, yeah, you know, women, by and large, they're just as powerful, if not more powerful than men in most societies. But if you ask them about anti-black racism or discrimination, a lot of people would deny that the issue even exists. Or what they'll do is point to another place or another situation or another locale or time and say that's when anti-blackness existed. But we need to press the issue that it is an issue that continues to exist in our society. So that's what I'm saying, that we need a cultural change. We need to shift the perspective and not just talk about racism, because racism is something that white people generally have bastardized. People have now taken the word racism to mean, oh, they don't like me because I'm French in Italy. They don't like me because, you know, I have brown hair in Sweden, right? That's what white people are now calling racism. We need to talk about anti-blackness specifically. And there have been initiatives out there from larger organizations to make anti-blackness something that people really need to focus on, right? Like the UN, I didn't even know about this until I started, you know, educating myself on the live streams. But the UN actually had the entire decade dedicated towards initiatives that would focus on anti-blackness, the specific needs of black people. You can look this up. It was the decade focusing on the issues of African descended people or sub-Saharan African descended people. It's a real thing that the UN did. And of course, there have been other movements like the Black Lives Matter movement that really took off after the death of George Floyd internationally around the world, when the whole world was forced to see Derek Chauvin lean on that man's neck until he passed out, right? Something that we as black Americans, like, I'll never forget when I saw the George Floyd tape, I was like, well, that's another Tuesday. That's another Thursday. I don't think anything will happen. Derek Chauvin might even get off, right? But because of the specific circumstance of COVID-19, everybody was locked in the house, and that video went extra viral. The whole world got to see what we as black Americans knew for the entire time of our stay in America, that we're dealing with a police system that views us as less than human, that views us as people that can be abused, right? We need to continue to press that issue. A lot of people thought they solved the issue of anti-blackness when they held up a Black Lives Matter sign and then sucked a black dick in Milan, and then that was it, right? So no, it's not over. The fight for changing the awareness around anti-blackness is not over. And that's what I'm saying, Donnie Williams. That's what should be done. And how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we create that cultural change? We use it by using our voices, using our words, using our pens, educating other people, talking about these issues, not falling into right-wing talking points, thinking that there is some deficit in black people as if we're the reason that we exist in the state of affairs that we do today in the world, whether that be in Africa, whether that be in the diaspora. We have to understand the historical context as well. So in education, we need to be teaching the next generation about the effects of colonialism, the lasting effects of apartheid, the lasting effects of legal segregation, and also implied segregation. We need to create a situation where people are comfortable talking about anti-blackness And when I say people, I'm talking about specifically non-black people, because everybody takes it as an affront to them and their society whenever they talk about anti-black discrimination. We need to make it a point to say, look, this is something that does exist in the world, implicit bias and explicit bias against black people, and we need to educate people that it needs to stop, right? And that it is not a personal attack on you, for you as a white person, Asian person, non-black person. We need to teach this to the next generation, right? And also teach our current generation as well, all right? So that's one thing that I would say that we need to teach the next generation. So that's a part of the cultural change that needs to happen. Now, the legal change that needs to happen. And Donnie Williams, I know you're not going to like this because you're a big Second Amendment guy. You worship that big black metal phallus called a gun. You believe in the stupid idea of the Second Amendment in America, because I've seen this from your comments, Donnie Williams. But what we need in America are a radical reformation of the laws that penalize people for certain activities, and also we need a reformation of the criminal justice system when people are actually convicted for crimes. Now, I'm not a prison abolitionist per se. I'm not the type of person that says that we need to get rid of punishment. Crime will always be with us, and there needs to be some way for people to be, how can I say this, removed from society from some time, to be restored, to have restitution of who they are, if they can be reformed, right? But specifically, first and foremost, the drug laws need to be changed. So all the laws, like in my home state of Louisiana, where you can get, real time for doing marijuana, where you can, really go to jail for a long time for selling marijuana, selling cocaine, that sort of stuff. Like, there needs to be legalization of the drugs, because the war on drugs has had a ravaging effect on the black community, specifically towards black men. When we think about all the black men who have been incarcerated and in jail for drug use, drug possession, drug selling, that sort of stuff. White people and black people both enjoy marijuana and cocaine and that sort of stuff. Might as well find a way for the government to tax it, make it safer. I just think about that Nas line all the time. If coke was cooked without the garbage, we'd all have the top dollars. You get what I'm saying? So we need to find a way to make it safer for people to do that. And we also need to reform the gun laws in America. The number one killer of children in America are weapons. Are weapons like guns. It's not knives, it's not hammers, it's not car crashes, it's not kids having premarital sex, it's guns. And in Donnie Williams, in your country, in your mother's country of Portugal, if I remember correctly, right? They don't have the same sorts of gun laws that we have in America. Now, I wonder which nation has more gun deaths, America or Portugal? Let's see, Portugal is one of the poorest nations in the EU. Portugal is also considered to some degree, like a country that has less resources and means, has not reached the level of development that the US has by many metrics. Yet and still, how come in their society it's much safer? How come in their society they don't have people walking up into schools and slaughtering all the 7th graders in a classroom? How come in their societies they don't have to turn on the news and hear about, 5 people got shot at a party every single Saturday, while we have to deal with that in America? That's a shame. That's a shame. And so if we really want to protect black life, we need to reform the gun laws in America. And in my honest opinion, we need to have the same sorts of gun laws that they have in Europe. Now, if you say, Donnie Williams, that's impossible, or there's too many guns in America, Australia was able to get rid of their guns and change their gun culture. Australia was able to do it. Every other European nation, every other developed nation was able to change their gun laws and actually make their society safer for their society, right? So, yeah, if we can't do that in America, what does that say about us? What does that say about us as Americans if we are not able to do the same thing? And if we want to continue to see black life flourish and prosper in America, we need to protect black life. And protecting black life has to do with definitely getting rid of the guns in America. Now, Donnie Williams, you won't accept that. You won't believe that, because a lot of people who are big Second Amendment worshipers are actually big old cucks for the NRA and the gun lobbyists and all the people in America who distort our minds to think that AK-47s, M16s, handguns, pistols, rifles, all sorts of stuff are what makes us American and free. Meanwhile, children literally die every single day because these guns permeate in America. And Donnie Williams, you're going to say some stupid shit like, well, you know, criminals will get guns anyway. Not if we have a society that doesn't allow legal guns to be purchased, because every illegal gun that's in the hands of a criminal was once purchased legally. Last time I checked, we don't have factories where criminals are just churning out illegal weapons, right? Of course, you have ghost guns and 3D printed guns, but that's a small minority of the weapons that are out there on the street. And also the weapons in America that we make destabilize the rest of the nations in the Americas. The majority of the weapons that are in Mexico that the cartels are using to, you know, kill each other and kill and terrorize Mexican citizens come from the U.S. In Haiti, Haiti is destabilized because they continue to import United States weapons, American weapons into Haiti, into Puerto Rico, into all the other Caribbean nations as well, and into Latin America. All right, that's what I'm saying right here. All right, so Aiden just jumped into the chat. Did bro just call something else a minority? I have no idea exactly what you're talking about here, Aiden. But yeah, all right. I hope I covered and answered your question, Donnie Williams. But yeah, just to be clear and succinct with you, we need a cultural change in America regarding how we teach anti-blackness, but also around the world as well. It needs to be understood the same way women's lib is understood, that, you know, these things are historic and systemic and continue to exist in society. The same way they teach that there's a glass ceiling for women, they also need to teach there's a black glass ceiling for us. It's not a, you know, there are millions of black people throughout Europe, millions of black people throughout the Americas, billions of black people throughout the world. How come yet and still we are the poorest, we are the least possessed, we are the ones who get discriminated against the most, and we are the ones who have to suffer the brunt of all of those things continuously through generations? It needs to be taught to the next generation. That's the cultural change. We also need changes in our criminal justice system, changes in how policing is done, changes in the gun laws in America. And yeah, we also need hate crime protection as well. The majority of people that have hate crimes committed against them in the United States are black people, yet and still the amount of people who have been prosecuted for those hate crimes is criminally low, and that needs to change in America. So Donnie Williams, once again, I hope I answered your question. I try to keep it as succinct as possible. You can be offended that I insulted you because of the guns, but I don't give a fuck, honestly. Anybody who loves the gun in America is my enemy. Anybody who thinks that Americans need to have more weapons, need to have more guns is a lunatic to me. Meanwhile, the rest of the world looks on in horror as America continues to allow more people to get their hands on guns, and every single year we have a ritual where we sacrifice our literal children to the gun god. We lay them down at the altar and allow the gun god to consume our own children. And Americans say, I'm gonna buy another gun. Stupid Americans. But that's why I'm out here in Europe. That's why I'm abroad. All right, continuing, I'm gonna jump to the other comment from my guy Hood Voice 2024. I believe he went by another name on my channel, but he changed it. Maybe he's going to start making content as well. I encourage everybody to make content and to get their points of view out there. I'm just one man, you know, giving my point of view on my channel. I want somebody to take it even further than me, do it even bigger than me. So my guy, the Hood Voice 2024, he left a comment under my video where I read the report on how Arabs feel about anti-blackness in their nations, right? And that was one of the most interesting live streams I've ever done. It's titled, My Muslim Subscribers Won't Like This. It's on my live stream section of my channel. Y'all go check that out. So the Hood Voice left a comment, and you can see it in the chat. He said, bro, why do you think more Africans don't come forward and expose how they're treated within the Muslim world? Why are they silent about the discrimination and racism they face? That's an excellent question, Hood Voice 24. And I believe I've spoken about this before, but I'll just answer this again. I believe that Africans don't have the language or the experience or know-how to express anti-blackness when they see it. Right? A lot of Africans, unfortunately, live in areas. By the way, shout out to Jake Jimenez leaving the fire emojis in the chat. Shout out to Jake Jimenez. I'll just say this. A lot of Africans don't understand anti-blackness because, unfortunately, Like a lot of people around the world, Africans have been infected with the disease of white supremacy. They believe that the white man's ice is colder, that the white man's society is better, that white people just generally are better than the rest of humanity. This is how a lot of Africans think. The same way a lot of Asians think that, a lot of Latin Americans think that, and that sort of stuff. Now, there's twofold reasons for that. Of course, it's the propaganda that comes from the West, mostly America, that sends out that message. But it's also the situation that they live in, right? Imagine you live in Nigeria, and if you've ever spoken to a Nigerian, you've heard this. All the Nigerians do whenever you meet them, especially if they're abroad, is complain about their country. Oh, in Nigeria, we don't have electricity. Oh, in Nigeria, everything is corrupt. Everything is expensive. Everybody hates on each other. Everybody lies to each other. Everybody steals from each other. And that's all black people doing that. And hell, I've been to Africa and seen it myself. I spoke about that in the Tanzania video I made. I spoke about that in the Kenya video I made. Every time, sorry, not every time, but in a lot of African nations, there is a ton of corruption, almost to the point it makes doing anything crippling. So a lot of Africans are probably have this same view that you'll understand if you meet people that come from different parts of the world, where they have negative points of views of their own nation, right? Like, for example, my wife is from Turkey, and she says a lot of negative things about Turkish people, right? Turkish men are sexist, Turkish men are closed-minded, Turkish men are this and that, and then she says the same thing about her own country, right? When I was living in Tunisia, a lot of Tunisians were complaining, oh, Tunisians are rude, Tunisians don't understand freedom, Tunisians are just straightforward and racist, that sort of stuff, right? You'll hear this about a lot of people. By the way, DeVito jumped into the comments. He says, "Hi, Simon, I've seen your video from Hungary, and I'm very sorry for how you and your friends was treated there. Most Europeans are not like that." Thank you, DeVito. Thank you, DeVito, for jumping into the comment section. I know that most Europeans are not like that. I am not a hateful person. I do not hate white people. I do not hate Europeans. But I'll just say this, DeVito. I appreciate you apologizing to me, but what I would like you to do is go and talk to your people. What I would like you to do is educate other white people or other Europeans that anti-blackness is wrong. How I was treated in that video was wrong. That's what I would like people to do. I don't post up my videos just to say, oh, woe is me. Oh, feel sorry for me. Oh, I'm just crying and whining and bitching and complaining. That's not the reason I do my videos. I do my videos to educate people about the truth and the reality of anti-blackness abroad, what it's like to be a black man traveling abroad and to walk through my shoes, because I know I live a very privileged, very unique life. I'm a black man from Monroe, Louisiana, middle of nowhere, which has now become one of the most violent and dangerous cities in Louisiana, Louisiana has one of the highest murder rates in America, right? So it's crazy, because growing up in Monroe, it wasn't even like that, but the situation has gotten worse in Monroe. I'm a black man from Monroe, Louisiana, didn't grow up, rich, grew up middle class, and was able to find a way through English teaching, a job that pays fuck all, a job that pays very little. I was able to travel around the world, experience many different cultures, many different peoples, and learn from many different situations. So I'm very blessed to live the life that I live, and that's why I do my channel. It's not to just hoard all of these experiences to myself. It's to share it with y'all. But anyway, back to the comments I was saying to the Hood Voice. So a lot of Africans have negative experiences growing up in Africa, seeing other black people mess them over, right? And then imagine that the only time they see white people is when white people come to Nigeria or Kenya or Tanzania as tourists. And the white people come, they're all smiling, they're all happy, they're, going on safari, they're tipping everybody, stuff like that. So a lot of Africans would say, oh, white people must be good. All that stuff in the past, brother, when they colonized our countries, when they killed our people, when they raped our women, brother, that is the past. Now white people have learned from their mistakes, brother, and they are good. This is how a lot of Africans think, unfortunately. And that's why whenever they hop on that boat and end up on the shores of Italy or on the shores of France or the shores of Spain, they say, hello, white people, I am here. Take care of me. Take care of me, niggas. Take care of me. I am your humble friend from Africa. This is how the Africans think. It's how the Africans think. And then when the Europeans turn around and actually do treat them the way that they actually view them, like niggas, when the Africans actually get viewed and treated like niggas, I see AB left the laughing emojis and Shemaya sent the Stockholm syndrome. When they actually get treated like that, the Africans do not know how to express it. You saw this in the video that I released yesterday of how the Africans were reacting to the white people who were treating us badly at the bar. They say, oh, please, please, do not do this. Do not do this to us. You are being bad to us and stuff like that. And then tried to turn up on me and say, what are you doing, nigga? Why are you making these white people mad? Why are you making these good white people mad at us? That's how the Africans think, unfortunately. They don't have the words for coon. They don't have the words for Uncle Tom. They don't have the language of Step and Fetch It. They don't have the idea of Clayton Bigsby's. They don't have the idea of understanding white supremacy. They don't have and a lot of that has to go back to the education as well. Unfortunately, throughout the world, a lot of people don't understand these concepts of white supremacy and post-colonialism and the ramifications of centuries of anti-blackness that's been inflicted across the world. But the Africans probably have it the worst, right? Because being so far from whiteness has also allowed them to view whiteness through a totally different lens and not understand the true nature of the devil. You get what I'm saying? Shemaiah sent the target. I'm just saying the facts. I'm saying the facts from my interactions with Africans. Now, I'm not just throwing shots at Africans because let's keep it real. For all my black Americans out there, we got our Candace Owens. We got our Thomas Sowells. We got our Clarence Thomases. But we know how to articulate who they are. And we understand the sorts of mechanisms that are going on in their mind that make them think the white man is better, right? When it comes specifically to black Muslims, and I'm getting to your question, the hood voice. The thing is, in Islam, a lot of Muslims try to do this. They tried to say, brother, in Islam, we don't see color. We do not see color, brother. In Islam, brother, I am like this. I am blind as the day to your color, brother. But they never answer this question. When you ask the Moroccan, when you ask the Egyptians, AB said, not Arabs. Oh, the Arabs, they see color. They see color, all right, because they got a whole bunch of words for us. And I've seen it myself and spoken about it myself on my channel. Abid, Zanj, Wusif, Zenchi, all the Arab nations have so much anti-blackness within them. All the Arab nations have so much anti-blackness within them. AB said, so true, and I mean they do. This so says AB. Shout out to AB for jumping in the comments. Listen, if you go to Morocco, if you go to Algeria, if you go to Tunisia, if you go to Egypt, if you go to Jordan, you go to Sudan, of course Sudan, but if you go to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, there are a ton of black people there. Millions of black people. I was literally shocked. My dumbass went to Tunisia and was shocked when I saw black people there literally speaking Arabic and living their daily lives. But if you look at their parliaments, if you look at their businessmen, if you look at their presidents, if you look at where the ghettos are in the nation, if you look at the poorest parts of the nation, all the black people are ghettoized in those places. All the black people have no political power, no economic power, no voice in the community. Sure, they're on TV dancing and singing and tap dancing, but you'll never see them unless we're talking about Sadat in Egypt or Marzouki in Tunisia. But even then, their blackness is shaky. Their blackness is shaky, real shaky. And the thing is, of course, in a lot of the Arab world, of course, the people are very dark-skinned. And you have some really dark-skinned people, the people that are only a tad bit, lighter than me, who look Arab as well, right? And there are a lot of people in the Arab world who would kill their daughters for marrying one of those sub-Saharan Africans, who would disassociate with their sons for marrying a sub-Saharan African and that sort of stuff. That is rampant throughout the Arab world. While in the Arab world, I saw bleaching cream being sold broad daylight. Broad daylight, whitening soap being sold broad daylight. All right, I'm going to jump into the comments real quick. AB says Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia got a ton of black people. Saudi Arabia had slavery until 1960. Think about that. In Turkey, they only closed their slave market in 1910. In Istanbul, you could buy slaves in your grandparents' generation. If you got some really old grandparents, or if you're about 40 years old and you had grandparents, there were still slaves being sold in Istanbul. You get what I'm saying? Think about that. Think about that. In Saudi Arabia, in my dad's generation, when my dad was born, that's when they ended slavery in Saudi Arabia. And they were selling black people on auction blocks in Saudi Arabia. All right, Sarah Pibo Akpana said, very true. Very true, bro. Thank you. Thank you. AB says Libya. In Libya, they were selling slaves a few years ago. In fact, they still got all those black African migrants from Somalia, from Sudan, all those guys who are going, say, I'm going to Europe to be with the white people. I'm going to Europe to be with the white people. They got all those brothers locked up in Libya in cages, selling them for slaves. They got slavery in Tunisia as well. It's been reported as well. All right. King of the Hill, keeping it trail, my boy. Shout out to Chill, bruh. All right. King of the Hill. That's funny. Bobby. I sell propane and propane accessories. Man, I'm so 90s. I am so 90s. I swear to God. Say it, Piro. Akpana said in Dubai. In Dubai as well, man. Come on, man. All right. DeVito jumped into the comments. He says, Quran says all people in hell are black and all people in heaven are white. As a Christian, I strongly disagree with that. I do not remember reading that in the Quran. And please cite the surah or the ayat that says that, DeVito. Please cite that, because don't say something like that. You know, I'm still a Muslim. Even though there's anti-blackness in the Muslim world, I'm not going to just, you know, throw out the Quran. You get what I'm saying? So please, cite that. Please cite that. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to continue here. AB says they won't give you citizenship. I guess he's thinking about certain Arab countries. AB says true. Yep, they'll sell your organs, right? Yeah, they're doing horrible things to the black people in North Africa, man. I've warned people about North Africa for years. I've warned people about the anti-blackness in the Arab world for years. But the Africans and the black people who are living there don't even understand that. They don't even understand that, right? I'll never forget. My wife is going to kill me for this. But around the time COVID happened, I was trapped in Tunisia and I was waiting for a flight out of Tunisia. And then I hooked up with this very thick, very chocolate, very, very hot black Tunisian girl. Thick as hell, my God. I was laying up with her for a few days and stuff like that. We were knocking things. I was knocking things down for a bit with this very thick. I cannot stress how thick she was, my God. Very thick black Tunisian. And we were watching TV, right? And, you know, we were flipping through the channels of Tunisian TV. And I was like, yo, it's crazy, right? We're in Tunisia, we're in Africa. And as we're flipping through the channels, there's no black people on TV, right? How come is that? Why is that? How come I never see somebody like you? I'm going to say her name, Amel. Her name was Amel. How come I don't see anybody like you, Amel, on TV? And she's like, you know, they don't, you know, do that. I mean, they don't do that. So you're saying it's racist. And she's like, I don't know if it's racist. I mean, if they have a ton of black people here who are very talented, very smart, very educated, why don't they show them on TV? And she was like, you know, I guess it's racist. I guess they're racist. It's like I had to almost bring it out of her to acknowledge the anti-blackness in her society. That's the thing about a lot of Muslims, black Muslims in the Arab world. They don't want to shake the boat, because the sort of anti-blackness that exists there is so front and center in their face, and they are so powerless in their nations. It's really a shame to think about it. Like, you know, in America, we have whether you like them or not, we have our Boule organizations. We have our Benjamin Crumps. We have our NAACPs. We have our Urban League. We have, you know, powerful black people in America. We have our Al Sharptons. We have our Jesse Jacksons. We have our Michael Eric Dysons. We have our Cornel West. You know, what did Jay-Z say? Don't make me call the guy with the fro and the funny talk or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, we have people we could call to get defense for us, to advocate on our behalf. It might not be the best, and some of y'all might be saying, "Oh, Sharpton is a raccoon, and Cornel West is a sellout." Whatever. Y'all might say that, but imagine living in the Arab world where they got nothing. Imagine being black in Egypt, and you don't even have an Al Sharpton. Think about that. Now, we might not like Al Sharpton. We might not like Obama. We might not like Jesse Jackson. We might not like any of our Boule black leaders. But imagine growing up black in Morocco and you ain't got nothing. Nothing. Police beating black people over the head all day in Morocco, and they got nobody to call. They got nobody on TV saying, hey, that's wrong. They can't go out and protest and throw a Black Lives Matter sign or have a big black rally because the police will come and beat them over the heads. I covered this on my channel before. The Moroccan police straight up opened fire on a bunch of black migrants who were just trying to escape the hellhole that is Morocco. They're making black African migrants disappear in Morocco. Literally, there was an American who was living in Morocco. They threw him in the back of a police van and dumped him off in the middle of the desert, even though he was saying, I'm American, flashing his passport and everything. And what did the Moroccans say? Shut up, nigga. Shut up, nigga. You are going to the desert. That's what they're doing. And guess who's giving these North African nations the money to do it? The European Union. The European Union is giving billions to Morocco, billions to Libya, billions to Tunisia to make sure that they stem the flow of migrants. And that's falling on the backs of a bunch of black men, losing their lives, losing their limbs, losing their freedom because of the anti-black racism, not only within North Africa, but it also goes back up to the top to white supremacy. It goes back up to white supremacy. Think about this. Think about this. There are no visas for all the gold that Europeans take out of Africa. There are no visas for all the diamonds that Europeans rip out of Africa. There are no visas for all the oil that's ripped out of Africa. But people, the people who are having their resources taken out of Africa by America and by Europe need visas. They need visas. They need the permission to go and get the wealth that is stolen from Africa. Think about that. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. But in North Africa as well, they worship whiteness. If you've gone to Tunisia, if you've gone to Egypt, or if you interact with the Arabs, they say that light skin is better, right? If you go to these North African nations, a lot of women are walking around and I'm not talking about the religious women who wear niqabs and abayas and hijabs and stuff like that. A lot of secular women will be in the middle of the summer wearing long sleeves and holding umbrellas because they don't want to get dark. Right? They're always dyeing their hair certain colors, blonde and red. Some women are even putting in colored contacts as well. They view Europeans as more attractive and looking better and that sort of stuff, denying their own features and stuff like that. It's very disheartening what's happening in the Arab world and in the Muslim world, right? There is a lot of white supremacy out there. And so that's what I'm saying. That's my answer for you, the Hood Voice 2024, about why a lot of the black Muslims have trouble with expressing anti-blackness. They don't have the language. They don't have the protection if they do decide to actually go out there and talk about that. And on top of that, in Islam and and what permeates throughout the Muslim world is this idea that Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had a black friend a long time ago, Bilal, peace be upon him as well. And because Muhammad had a black friend 1,400 years ago, there is no more racism in the Arab world. That's essentially what it comes down to. Because every time you talk about anti-blackness within the Muslim world, somebody always brings up Bilal. And I'll be honest, I'm so sick and tired of bringing up Bilal. AB says freed. Let's keep it real. Bilal was a slave because in the Arab world at that time, the majority of the slaves were black Africans coming from Abyssinia, what is now Ethiopia. Right? So AB put it in the comments. Yeah, Bilal was a freed slave. And Bilal went through some of the worst torture as a Sahaba. There's the story about Bilal having a giant rock on his back on his chest while he lays down on the hot sand in the sun. And the Quraysh were telling Bilal to renounce God. And all he kept saying was, Allah is one, while his back burned on the sun and that sort of stuff. All right. JDB0272 says, who says Muhammad isn't black or African? That's a good point. I mean, all the Sunnah says that, the Sunnah, there's a story in Sahih Bukhari that says, Muhammad, he would pray and his armpits were as white as snow and stuff like that. I mean, I think generally most people would consider the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be a Arab person, but he might not have been a light-skinned Arab, might have been a dark-skinned Arab. Nobody knows. That's one of the beautiful things about Islam is that we don't have this sort of debate about what he looked like or his facial features, because the Prophet specifically said, don't paint pictures of me, make statues of me. And so the same thing also applies for the other prophets as well. But I do think his race or his color is important because a lot of people would say, okay, I would never pray behind a black man, or I would never pray next to a black man. I've seen it myself and experienced myself. I'm in the masjid and I'm praying right here. And there's a brother I have the empty space next to me on this side or this side, and a brother won't come and pray right next to me. He'd rather go to the next row, which is like breaking the sunnah, right? If we're praying in rows in the masjid, what we're supposed to do is make a complete full row, and then the next row gets filled, right? And I've had this happen. I've experienced it myself. I remember I went to Indonesia, and I was the first person in the masjid, and I called the adhan for, I think it was either Doher or Maghrib, one of those prayers. And yeah, I led the prayer for a few people, but then some other guys came in while I was praying and decided to lead their own Doher or Asr prayer, right? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, there's a lot of anti-blackness in the Muslim world. There are some people who will not pray behind black people, pray next to black people within the Muslim world, right? And there's no madhab that's going to say that that's okay. I know some people are going to say that, you know, oh, in our madhab, we do this or that. What madhab in Islam says being anti-black is okay, right? But yeah, that's my thing. AB says, damn, bro, that's harsh. Same experience. Share your experience, AB, and let us know if you're Muslim. I assume that you are. JDB0272 says, it's his problem. That's true to some extent. Racism, by the way, guys, anti-blackness is not our problem. We as black people didn't do anything, and we are not doing anything currently that warrants us to be treated this way. We are not naturally criminals. We are not naturally wicked. We are not naturally evil. We are not naturally a people that is prone to the worst of the human condition. You get what I'm saying? All right. AB says he is brother. Oh, he is a Muslim. Okay. Somali Canadian. All right. Salam alaikum to you and blessings to you wherever you are. And yeah, shout out to the Somali community as well. But this is the thing. There is nothing about black people anywhere in the world that warrants us to be treated with the forms of discrimination that we face daily, right? And the systemic problems that we face, right? We didn't create this modern world, but the thing about racism is even though it is a problem of another community that only hurts themselves, it also hurts us as well. Because while this is a cultural problem that exists with a lot of different people, it still affects on us. I'm gonna go back to the video I made yesterday, right? Some people would say, okay, there's racist people everywhere, but don't worry about those people. So I'm not supposed to worry about the fact that a racist person can have power over me to enjoy time with my friends and, you know, have drinks and be at a place of leisure like everybody else, right? This is the thing. A lot of people tell black people, oh, don't worry about racism. Just forget about it. Brush it off your shoulders. Would you say the same thing if it was you and your family? You get what I'm saying? All right. Timothy Little said, this is scam pastor. I'm not a pastor. Sorry. Oh, thank you, AB. Sorry, my mic was muted. Sorry, I hope y'all caught that. All right, but anyway, I'm just going to go back and say once again, I am not a pastor. I am not a sheikh, an alim, a preacher. I'm not asking people for money, and I'm definitely not Nigerian. Okay. Okay. All right, DeVito finally gave his source for his claim that in the Quran, but then he ends up quoting the Sunnah. He says, you asked me for reference about what I just said. It's Hadith, Al-Masabi, 100 book, 1 Hadith, 112. I'm going to try to copy that and look that up. But we also have to remember that not all Hadith are weighted the same. There's Sahih Hadith that are verified as true, and yeah, there are some Hadith that are viewed as, you know, dubious, to say the least, right? All right, Husna Makama said, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, all right, Timothy Little is gonna get blocked. Should I block him? Y'all let me know. Should I block Timothy Little? If you think I should block Timothy Little, just put a thumbs up emoji if you think I should, or should I just let him talk and I just ignore him? Okay, yeah, going back to what I was saying, before I look up You know, let's look up this hadith because I actually want to see what he has to say. And by the way, guys, you should actually talk to your scholars and alims. You know, let's not, go online to find out about the deen, right? Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So, all right, AB. AB said the thumbs up, and then Timothy Little started copping please. He said, no, bro, just chill, just chill. Oh, man, what a pussy. What a pussy, man. Anyway, this Timothy Little, I run an educational YouTube channel. I'm not trying to scam people. I don't ask people for money. I talk about Timothy... Timothy Little, if you want to donate, you can, but I am not asking anybody for money. In fact, everybody, do not give me a super chat. No more super chats on my channel. All right, but I'm going to read this hadith right here. Okay, so this is from Abu Darda. Abu Darda reported God's messenger as saying, God created Adam when he created him and struck him his right shoulder and brought forth his offspring while white like small ants. He then struck his left shoulder and brought forth his offspring black as though they were charcoal. Then he said to the party on his right side, to paradise, and I do not care. And he said to the party on his left shoulder, to hell, and I do not care. Okay, so grade. It's graded as Isnad Hassan, right? And let's look up what Hassan means, because Hassan hadiths, I believe, are not viewed as fully trustworthy. Now, I will admit, right, that might be a very racist hadith. All right, Hassan means good. So I should have known that Hassan means good because I studied Arabic. I'm so bad, Jesus Christ. Anyway, that hadith that you just quoted is a good hadith, but is it verified as true? Now, I'm the type of Muslim that wants to verify, that only follows the truest of hadiths and only wants to believe in the truest ones, right? But if you want to believe that the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, really would say, yeah, Adam, God created Adam, and then the Prophet said, okay, no, God created Adam. Let's break this down. Adam, when he created him and struck his right shoulder and brought forth his offspring white like small ants, and he struck his left shoulder and brought forth his offspring black as though they were charcoal. Then he said to the party on the right side, to paradise, and I do not care. And he said to the party on his left shoulder, to hell, and I do not care. That hadith is sort of saying like, okay, God will maybe send, but this is the thing, does white actually mean, well, the white offspring? But I don't know. I don't even want to entertain it. It's hard for me. I need somebody who is well-versed in hadith to explain that. I'm not even going to try to do that, guys, because once again, this is not an Islamic channel where I pretend to be a scholar or a sheikh, an alim, or something like that. I'll just say this. I think Sahih hadith are the best to follow, not Hassan or anything else, right? That's all I got to say. All right, gonna go to the comments. Timothy Little said, you can scan me and let me stay. Okay, Tim, you can stay right now, but if you continue to act up, you're going to get the block. I feel you have a good spirit. Keep it up, said JDB. Thank you, JDB. I try to be a good man. Timothy said, I came to troll, but you're all right. I feel bad now that I know you can't read well. I couldn't read well because I was reading from the screen. I was reading from my phone screen. I can absolutely read well. Guys, I read an entire book on live stream. Don't do this to me. Yeah, exactly. Let's go to the comments right here. JDB02 said, practice your God-given discernment. Regardless of what's written in any book by man, pray for discernment. Okay? Yeah. What else did I want to say? There was something else I wanted to say. Man, let me just go back to Hood Voice's question about anti-blackness in the Muslim world. I do think that in the Muslim world, because Islam is the religion that is explicitly anti-racist, right? The Sahih message that the Prophet gave on top of Mecca when the Muslims conquered Mecca, when he said a black is no better than a white and a white is no better than a black, or an Arab better than a non-Arab, and vice versa, except in piety, right? I do believe that is the foundation of what we should try to bring forth within Islam, right? Islam has the capacity to be a force for anti-racism. Now, that doesn't mean everybody should convert to Islam. I don't think everybody should. Or could. I don't think everybody should or could be Muslim. Hell, I'm barely a good Muslim myself. I just believe in Allah and His Prophet, though unfortunately I'm not avoiding the haram things most of the time, right? But I'm trying to be back on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. But the thing is, as Muslims, we should be the shining light to the world that within Muslim lands, within Muslim communities, there should not be so much anti-black discrimination. There should not be so much tribalism, nationalism. There are some Pakistanis, regardless of whether you're black or not, that do not want their families to marry anybody else except Pakistanis, right? There are some Egyptians, some Arabs who are like, we only want to stay with the Arabs and stuff like that. Now, should that be the way that we are? Should not we as Muslims see each other as Muslims first, and then our ethnicities and nationalities second, or our races even, should our race even be in our mind? You get what I'm saying? No, it should not. All right, Sam Seals says, salute from Western Australia by the way of East Oakland. Okay, shout out to Oaktown. Hey, where you from? Oakland, smoking. Okay, all right. But yeah, that's the point I was trying to say about the Muslim community. There's a lot of tribalism, right? What we're seeing in Sudan right now with the Sudanese people having a civil war, it's Arabs basically targeting black minorities there, a lot of black Christian minorities, and they're calling them racial slurs while they're slaughtering their sons. I did a live stream about this as well. There's a lot of that going on around in the world, and there needs to be education for the people about within the Muslim community about how to speak about anti-blackness, how not to just fall back on Bilal, how to just not just say Muslims are colorblind and we do not see color, brother, and all that sort of stuff. We need to change that sort of mentality in the Muslim community, okay? So that's what I really got to say about that. And yeah, I'm going to wrap up this live stream because I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go hit the gym. Then I got about 2 or 3 classes to do. Then it's nap time for your boy because you got to get them sleep hours in. I'm missing out on them sleep hours. But thank you, everybody, for tuning into this live stream chat. Shout out to Sam Seals. Shout out to AB. Shout out to JDB. Shout out to Timothy Little. Shout out to DeVito. Shout out to Husna Makama. Shout out to Akpana. Shout out to Shamaya. Shout out to Aiden. Shout out to Doge. Okay? And yeah, I'm going to read these last few comments. All right? Sam Seal says, my wife is Somali. They had an issue with me, even though I'm Muslim. Yeah, that's the thing, man. And that goes to show, like, in the Muslim community, we have a lot of tribalism and a lot of nationalism that needs to be broken down. That was one of the explicit things the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came to teach us. He came to teach us, you know, we are not different tribes. We are one ummah. We are one ummah. But too many people say, yo, I'm Somali. I do not want my sons or daughters to marry the Bantus or marry the Abids and that sort of stuff. We need to get rid of that sort of language. We need to change that language within the Muslim world. All right? Salam alaikum to everybody. Sam Seal says, they darker than me. By the way, East African women, Sam Seals, are the most beautiful women, right? My wife is from Turkey, but, you know, if this don't work out, and by the way, I hope me and my wife live together until the end of my days, but if this don't work out, I'm going to get an Ethiopian, an Eritrean, a Somali. Those Somalis, them Eritreans, they're beautiful, man. Especially Eritreans. Eritreans are baddies. Ethiopians, baddies. So Sam Seals, you got a good one. Lock her down. Make sure she don't dip on you. And yeah, shout out to AB as well. Y'all continue to chop it up with me. Leave comments, leave questions. I'm going to try to do live streams often, but I'm hella busy. Hella busy, very busy. By the way, for my Oakland people, by the way, Sam Seals, I'm a hip hop writer, and I wrote a review of every E40 album. I know, I'm crazy. I would suggest everybody go to Culturalist Theory and go check out the videos I made for them ranking the E40 albums. The #1 album might surprise you. So yeah, y'all go support me that way as well. I am not a Nigerian pastor or scammer. Do not send me super chats. Do not send me money. I'm just a guy sharing my opinion on live stream. That's it. Y'all be easy out there in the world.